It's such an awesome time to come on a morning like this, cool morning at Anem at Jericho, Onireke, Ibadan, just beside DSTV Ibadan, and just have play with the golf and or play golf and have so much fun while you just chill around. Okay, so you are welcome to Talk with Dr. Michaels, and of course, I'm Dr. Michaels, your host, and we're just about to start the show. And guess what? Today's show is also going to be an interesting one. We're going to be talking about another couple having issues in their marriage, and then we'll also find solutions to the problem that they are also going through. I'm a natural golf player or golfer. I just can't wait to take it to the big leagues. All right, see you in the next segment. Okay, hi, you're welcome back. So today we're going to talk about something I saw, a particular couple that I read about. I guess the wife was asking questions online, and I read it in one of the popular blogs on Twitter, and I'm sure you must have read it before too. So it was about a couple who, of course, were married, and both of them are workers. They probably do white collar job, 9 to 5. So one day, the wife came back, and she got back earlier than the husband, around I guess 5 o'clock, and then the husband came back around 7 o'clock. So when the husband got back, the wife had prepared the food for the husband, and when the husband came back around 7 o'clock, the food was presented or offered to the husband. Guess what happened? The husband rejected the food and told the wife that he was not interested in the food, that he wanted a particular fish soup or stuff like that. And that was around 7 o'clock in the evening. So the wife told him that she got back late, and that going out to look for ingredients for that particular soup around 7 p.m. in the evening might not be a good idea. So she offered to cook that particular meal, like the next day. But the husband said no. He has no interest in any other particular soup. That was what he wanted. And wow, the wife didn't have a choice. So while she was trying to know how possible that was, the husband picked up his phone and then called a particular girl and told the girl that he wanted a particular dish, the fish soup, and that and guess what the girl said? The girl said yes, that she will prepare it. The girl is not a chef. The girl is like a girlfriend to the guy's girlfriend. Don't forget that the guy is a married man. So the girlfriend told him that, oh no, don't worry, so just come over, I'll get the stuff prepared, and then by the time you get to my place, I'll be able to offer you what you requested for, what you are interested in. And just right there in the presence of the wife, in fact the phone was on speaker, and the wife heard their conversation, and of course she knew that it was his girlfriend. And then he stormed out of the house, or left the house that same hour. The wife helplessly looked at the husband leave the house and then go to the girlfriend's house. That must have been very traumatic. It looked to me as if the husband was really intent, like he had intention to cause a lot of trouble that day. Has it ever occurred to you that sometimes you just get home, not necessarily if you are married or not, just get home and you just feel like just causing trouble? So I guess that day the husband was probably angry at work or something, or he had a foul mood, was in a foul mood or something, and he just got home and he just wanted to cause trouble. And I guess the marriage must have been in a problematic state. And I think from the look of that write-up, it looked to me as if they were not in a good place in marriage, and two, they were probably having misunderstanding. But this misunderstanding is not a normal misunderstanding; it's not the usual one. It seemed to me that it has been around for a while, and it seemed to me that there's marital crisis, because already the guy has a girlfriend, and he was bold enough. When married guys have girlfriends, they won't pick the call or call their girlfriend in the presence of their wives. But this guy was so bold that he went ahead to call his girlfriend. That tells me that he has no regard for his marriage, and he has no regard for himself, and he has no regard for the wife. And to me, it also means that since he has no regard for the marriage, it's a marital crisis, not just a marital challenge. And that is where a therapist comes in. There's a difference between a therapist and a counselor. A counselor gets to prepare people to a large extent for marriage, talk about what marriage is all about. But a counselor does not have the skill required to deal with underlying problems that couples may have before getting married, that they already had personally and in their relationship. And a married counselor too does not have the skill to deal with underlying problems, which we call primary problems. A married counselor will likely deal more with a secondary problem. And for example, a secondary problem in marriage might be financial issues. So a married counselor provides wisdom about how to manage finances. But the cause of financial issues in marriage is not the primary cause is not mismanagement of funds. The primary cause may actually be one of the couples being enslaved to money. You understand what I'm talking about? So when it comes to that kind of problem where one of the couples or the couples are enslaved to money, then the job or the work of dealing with that marriage has gone from marital challenge to marital crisis. And when marital crisis steps in, the best person to call is a therapist. You need to go for therapy. And so that's the difference between counseling and therapy. So that is why a lot of marriages are failing today, because we have a lot of marriage counselors who mean well, but when it comes to some underlying problems that are deeper than what a lot of people can handle, they are stuck. And so what they just do is what we call in medicine palliative. They just palliate the marriage. So we have a lot of marriages that are being palliated right now. Palliative in medicine has to do with somebody who is about to die, has reached what we call MBchB period, where there's almost nothing that medicine can do. So medicine can't really deal with the particular illness of that person, but medicine can prepare the patient in the journey of death. Right? So they make death comfortable for the person. They give pain reliever. They give drugs that helps with pain. They give drugs that helps the person to be comfortable to a large extent, and to die to a large extent a painless death, right, when the time comes. So, and then of course the patient is in a good state to talk to the family members and put his or her house in order. But when it comes to so there's nothing that can be done so in medicine to stopping the person from dying. Now the same thing applies to marriage. A lot of marriages are in a state of ill health, and they have reached MBchB period, and counseling is not going to help. Counseling is not going to prevent the death of that marriage. Counseling, the best thing that counselors can do at that stage. I'm not saying that counseling is ineffective. I'm only saying that counseling will just do what counseling will just do is to palliate that marriage in the journey of death. So you have a lot of marriage counselors in that. So what we encourage is marriage counselors might need to add therapeutic skills to their counseling skills, so that they are not just counselors, but they are also therapists. And of course, we have a few. There are not many, but we have therapists. And of course, I'm into marriage therapy. I'm a medical doctor with interest in interventional talking therapy. So so in this kind of marriage, so a lot of counselors watch till the marriage dies, and then they say, oh, sorry, there's nothing we can do. That's also what we doctors do too, when there's nothing that I can do. But in this particular marriage that we are talking about, this particular marriage has begun and has commenced the journey to death, the death of the marriage. And that's the state that we call marital crisis. So marital crisis can be defined as a state where the marriage has begun or commenced the journey to death of that marriage. A lot of marriages are dead today, and they are just doing the motions and waiting for the time when the death of their marriages would come. So they are waiting till when the marriage will go off. Many of them are not having sex again. Many of them, all they just do is come together to take care of the children. No sex again. It has now become open marriage. Both of them are having sexual intercourse with different people outside the marriage, but they are still married, and they still come out. They do public display of affection, and they get the singles jealous, whether deliberately or not deliberately, and then they go back into they probably wear the same outfit, and they hug themselves. They probably even kiss themselves, but it's either they know that, oh, this marriage is gone, or they know they are doing all those things deliberately just to make people feel that they are still married. You understand? So a lot of people are still married, but they are no longer married. You get the gist? So staying in marriage does not mean people are married. It is what happens behind closed doors that gives us a clue about whether they are still married or not. So they get home, and then they go into their different rooms, and they don't have sex. They call their girlfriends or their boyfriends, and that's what they might even have prayer devotion for all you care. So it has become a routine, and that's the end of it. That's the end of it. And you hear that, oh, a divorce after 40 years of marriage, after 30 years of marriage, but the marriage has been dead. Like, I had a therapy session for a couple in a marriage who have been married for 40 years, and the wife said she was only happy for 20 years. So there's likelihood that the marriage begun, or this journey of death of that marriage started 20 years before that therapy session. 20 years before that 20 marriage of 20 years. So like by the time they were meeting me, it was already 40 years. And you will see those marriages that you will see them do 48th year anniversary, but the marriage has been dead for 20 years. You understand? So in this particular marriage that we talked about, you discover that the husband is no longer interested in that marriage, and you will also discover that the wife is just the only person that is interested in that marriage. It seemed to me like a one-sided marriage, or a one-sided love. Probably it didn't start like that, or probably it started like that. Probably they were forced to marry one another or each other. Probably they aligned in terms of gender, like they love themselves in terms of gender, like male, female. But when it comes to alignment of personality, it was zero. And that gap, alignment, that malalignment in personality will soon become a big gap or a big wound in that marriage, sooner or later. So this is not rocket science. Like there's no rocket science about it. You can easily predict a marriage that will work as a therapist or as a counselor, even from the beginning, even from relationship stage. You can. There are many indicators that you can see in that relationship that will tell you that if these people go ahead to get married, it will not work. It may not go beyond so number of years. Just the same way doctors can say, okay, this person is going through this so number of. This is when this illness would generate into this, and they can easily predict even with years and time like that. So of course we talk about prognosis, 5-year prognosis and the rest like that. So that's what we talk. So you can easily even put dates even to a lot of deaths in marriage. So this particular marriage right now, the guy has a girlfriend and he is bold about it. If that means he feels justified to have a girlfriend. That, so does that mean that something may have happened in that marriage, probably, for him to feel justified to have a girlfriend? Could it be that the wife has had extramarital affair before, and he now say, okay, since you have had an extramarital affair, or since you were in a relationship despite the fact that we were married, so I would also start my own. So it could be that in the first few years of that marriage, the woman was the one was doing exactly what the man is currently doing, and probably the woman has repented, but now the woman has just decided to pick up from where the woman stopped. Of course, I can picture a particular therapy session that I had with access into a particular marriage, and that was exactly what happened. The woman was causing trouble, and then at the middle of the marriage she repented, and then but the husband now picked up from where she stopped and began to cause trouble. So obviously there is a marital crisis in this case, and it could be obviously they're not likely to be having sex in this marriage. Even if they have been having sex, it's likely going to be one-sided, probably an obligation. You know, I usually talk to a client about, like, some couples just say, honey, we have not had sex in the last 1 month, but they said we need to have sex like 3 to 4 times in a week, so let's try and have sex this week. Oh. Well, marriage is very, very interesting. So it's possible that such things happen. So how do we go about solving this kind of problem? It might even be a third party issue where third party is involved in that marriage, and the man feels he does not have a say in that marriage. Can you remember the last episode that we had? There are two major issues that can sink a marriage or bring about marital crisis, and those two major issues are, number one on the list is third party, and number two on the list is sexual problem. So we're going to deal with these two, which are probably likely primary causes or the things causing problem in this marriage. So we'll get to look at these two issues in the next segment, and we'll try to solve the problem in the context of this marriage. All right, see you in the next segment. Bye. All right, so you're welcome back to the third segment of this show. So this segment, we're going to talk about the major problems of this particular marriage and how we can go about solving them. Like in the second segment, we talked about 3 major problems that might be affecting this marriage. Number one is communication. There might be problems with communication. Number 2 is sexual problems, and number 3 is third party issues. Now let's arrange them in the order of importance. Like, there are 2 major things or problems that can sink a marriage. In the order of importance, number 1 is third party issues can actually sink a marriage. And then the second solution, or the second problem in this that can sink a marriage is sexual problem. And the third problem is communication skills. So we're literally asking, we're literally saying, like I said in the last episode, that it is criminal to start up a marriage and get to be given a marriage certificate without literally going through a formal training. So we are currently advocating that people go through formal training. I have a marriage certificate course, like I organize for people. So it's important that people go through that formal training and learn about everything that has to do with marriage, communication skills, sex, how to go about sex. Some people, even while trying to have sex, the penis goes into the anus, and then they are wondering why they have not given birth to children after 1 year of marriage, and they are being pressurized by their family members, especially here in Africa, and they are wondering why. But the reason is the penis or the dick of the guy has been going into the wrong place, And then the wife too is not aware of where the dick should go to. And then the anxiety that has to do with the early part of marriage will also add to their problems. So it's important that a school is a school is attended where you can learn that. Of course, you can subscribe to my marriage certificate course. All right. So number one is sexual problems. Sexual problems is let's deal with third party issues. And the last episode we talked about third party. So you might need to click on the last episode and learn about one or two things about what we said about third party causing problems. Well, I would just like to say before going to sexual problems that a lot of people feel that, okay, so I'm not going to talk to other people because I don't want to bring in third party, and then they talk about their marital crisis or marital challenges with their children. They say, oh, he's my child. So at the end of the day, they expose the nakedness of their spouses to their children, thinking, well, my child will not get angry with my spouse since it is his father or is his mother. But the thing is, I've had cases where just by doing that, just by exposing the nakedness of your spouse to your children, the child, don't forget that the first two people that a child gets to trust in life are his parents. So by exposing the nakedness of your spouse to your child, you are you are literally positioning your child to have trust issues in life. I mean, at the end of because you are not talking to a professional. Your child is not a professional, and the professional is not a third party. You understand? So your child will begin to, don't forget that when you talk about your spouse, you will also be talking about in a passionate way because you think you're talking to a family member. So you feel you're talking to a family member. Of course, your child is a family member. And so you go ahead, and so the child will no longer trust your spouse. There will be no relationship. That will affect the relationship between your child and that person. And then you're wondering, how come they don't have a relationship? They can't have, because the child will see you as the good person and will see the other person as a bad person. And for all you care, you might actually be the bad person and the spouse may be the good person. But in the picture, in the eye, because a child may not be able to analyze. So I found that some children became bad because of the bad marriages of their parents. So bad marriages can result to bad parenting, and bad parenting will literally lead to children with several problems, from drug issues to antisocial behavior, personality disorders, several personality disorders, and the rest like that. So it's important that you don't divert the love you have for your husband to your child. They say, but it's my child, so let me just, so you see some pictures where this is my world. They're talking about their child. And then you wonder, so where's your spouse? So if this child is your world, so what is your child? If your child is your world, then your spouse is your heaven. So you understand what I'm talking about? And what you say tells us a lot about the state of your mind. You may say, oh no, I was just joking. I just wanted to have a nice caption. No, you believe it. You may not know that you believe it. Don't forget that there's also subconscious mind. So these are the issues. So you need to know that even children can become third parties in marriage. The best person to talk to about your marital crisis is not even your religious leader. Your religious leader may likely qualify for a counselor and not a therapist. So you need to talk to a professional about your marital crisis. It's very, very important. I would like to urge our religious leaders to please divert marital issues that they sense that has a lot of underlying issues. They need to divert those marital cases to professionals, to therapists, rather than trying to handle it themselves. Because currently right now it's like we're sitting on a gunpowder. Many marriages are on fire. They're just waiting for when to explode. So the second issue is sexual problems. A lot of people don't know how to go about sex. A lot of people don't even know the why behind sex. Many just feel the why behind sex is to come, cum. In fact, this morning I just tweeted before leaving their house, before coming to Arnhem here at Onireke Ibadan, that sex is more the purpose of sex is not even coming. C-U-M-M-I-N-G. The purpose of sex is more than that. That was why I tweeted. I said, follow me closely. So it's not just about coming. Coming is release, ejaculation, releasing your sperm. For those who do, and for those that just release quietly. And even ladies too also come, So it's not it's more than that. It's not, oh, I want to come, so I just need a hole to put in my dick, or I need to come, I'm feeling on it, so I just need a particular dick, anything, even a machine to just enter me. It's more than that. When we know the purpose of it, abuse is inevitable, like someone said. So in fact, sex is also going through abuse because a lot of people are having sex not because they want to. Like I said in sex camp that I did 2 years ago. No, we didn't have sex in sex camp. No, it wasn't about having sex in sex camp. It was about discussing sex in sex camp. So I said that a lot of people are having sex not because they like sex, but because they just feel it provides them relief. It's important that you don't have sex because you want to have relief. It's important that you have sex for the purpose for which it was given to us. Sex is a special gift, and the purpose of sex is merely to serve as a lubricant to make two people who are coming from different backgrounds to be able to come together as one and be able to achieve what they want to achieve. And we also say that there are people who have sex and yet there's still domestic violence. So it has to do with, do they even love themselves in the first instance? There are many things when it comes to a relationship. There are many things that has to be ticked. If not, you might be endangering your heart to heartbreak. So you really need to check a lot of things and be sure of why you want to go into sex and the possible problems that can arise because of that. Now, the issue is that many people don't even know where to go, where to put the dick, or what to do before having sex. Many people don't even know the view of the other gender about sex. For example, the way men see sex is different from the way females see sex. And the purpose of marriage is not just to have sex. Sex provides lubrication for marriage, but the purpose of marriage is more than that. So you need to marry somebody that you can talk with. I know of I can picture a couple right now who they got married, but the husband cannot even talk intellectual stuff with the wife. He had to marry another person. I think basically for that, for companionship, and then marry this person for maybe just sex. That's not marriage. That's something else. So and it's going to affect the children. So it's important that you that the females see sex as something psychological. They see it as an experience, while the main gender sees sex as something physical. They are turned on by what they see. They are visual, while they also see sex as an event. A woman will likely to be turned on by what she hears. So last episode we talked about ALT. Women love attention. They love to be listened to, and then they love to be allowed to talk. So when women are easily turned on, at least averagely, not necessarily all women, but generically, averagely, women get turned on by what they hear. You understand what I'm talking about? So you need to understand how women see sex, and then we are also been recommending and advocating that the female gender gets to learn about how gets to add the perspective of the male gender about sex, communication, gets to add it to their own perspective, while men needs to add the perspective of females about communication and sex to their own perspective about communication and sex. It's very important, so that at the end of the day you are a man. Yes, it does not make you less of a man anyway. You are a man, but now you are more like a man and a woman in your thinking. Like, I think there's a book that says think like a man. There's a book like talking about women thinking like a man. So it changes your thinking. So you are still a man. You have all your stuff and your instruments intact, but yet your thinking is both as a man and as a woman. The same thing with women. You have all your boobs and ass and everything intact. You understand what I'm talking about? But yet your thinking is you're not just thinking only as a woman, but you are also thinking as a man. So it helps you to understand your spouse. All right. So those are stuffs about sex. And in medicine we recommend that for people who are having problems having children, conception, that they have sex 3 to 4 times in a week, in a year, living under the same roof. I know my medical colleagues will say amen to that. So it's until when you start doing that, after 1 year, that we can now say, okay, there's a fertility problem. But if you have not started doing that, then there's no fertility problem. So you need to have sex regularly. So we can also apply that to therapy here, that you need to have sex in your marriage 3 to 4 times in a week. Like we said in one of the sister productions of Quantum Consulting, that's Wellness Parlor. We interviewed people on the street, and they said, a man said that he doesn't mind having sex 7 times in a week. It's very possible. You can even have it more than 3 to 4 times in a week. And what I'm trying to say is that it can be 3 to 4 days. You can space the 3 to 4 times in terms of days, like 3 to 4 times, 3 to 4 days in a week. It can be 2 days, and you can say have it, like we're talking about sessions here. Have sections of sex, 3 to 4 sessions of sex in a week. That's what I'm talking about. So, and it's important that you're not just having sex as an obligation, because if you have sex as an obligation, then it's possible that there will still be domestic violence. But yet, there are couples that they're having domestic violence, but yet the wife still got pregnant. And you're wondering, how come you open your legs to him and he hasn't beaten you? Obligation too can be involved. So it's important that maybe in this particular marriage, the husband was asking for sex, the woman was not available, or the woman started as a virgin and the man as a non-virgin. That's also another perspective. And the man is also always fired up, and he is already sexually exposed, but it takes a longer time. It takes virgins a longer time to acclimatize. So their hunger for sex increases. Everybody likes sex, but the hunger that a virgin has for sex increases over time. And if a virgin gets married to a non-virgin, the patience of the non-virgin spouse may run out too early, while waiting for the virgin to meet up. So you discover that the picture I always paint is, imagine in a room and they're having sex, and the non-virgin is like the examiner and the virgin is like the student. So the virgin is always like under pressure, trying to satisfy the non-virgin spouse. And at the end of the day, if you adding sex to anxiety, can even lead to premature ejaculation. It can lead to premature ejaculation. It can lead to poor performance in bed. It can lead to you are trying to please the other person. So a lot of things can happen that can affect the experience that one is meant to have in sex. And so it's important that people get to know what they are going into if they are virgins and they are planning to get married to non-virgins. So it's very, very important. And any communication skills are also very important. Like, those are the things that you learn in a formal school of marriage, where you have to learn how to listen. Learning is a life skill, and it's also part of communication skills. Like, you need to learn how to listen. There's a difference between listening and hearing. Like I said in the last episode of Talk with Dr. Michaels, you might need to check. So when you hear, you're just paying attention to what the person is saying with the mouth. But when you listen, you are paying attention to what the person is saying in the person's heart. So you need to listen, not for the purpose of replying. There are many things that people say that you don't need to reply. All they just want you to do is to listen. So you need to know when to talk, when to give a reply, when to provide solution to a problem. A lot of times women are not really asking for solution because they're not dumb. They can find solution to that problem. They just want you to just listen to them. So like a marriage program that I organized like 2 years ago, I think, or last year 2021 June. So I painted a picture of women when they are imagine a woman having traffic issues, and there are lots of and she couldn't get to where she was going to on time, and then she now sees her girlfriends, and she now said, you know what happened? I had traffic issues, I was delayed on the road. And the girls will say, oh, sorry. So was there food in the car? Or was there the AC of your car, was it working? Is it still working? And how comfortable were you? And the rest like that. Oh my God, it was a sunny day. How did you cope? They dress the problem. They're not providing solution to it because they just feel that the person will be able to find solution to the problem. And if their girlfriends can't find solution to the problem, the lady will ask for help. But the lady now gets home and tells the husband that, oh, I had traffic issues, I was delayed on the road. And the husband will say, oh no, I told you that you don't go to that place at that particular time. You should have done this, you should have done that. That is typical of men. Like, men want to provide solution. But the woman just wants to be listened to, and she just wants to be allowed to talk. So what the man should have done is exactly what the friends did. And if the woman wanted an advice to be given, she would ask for it. Women are good in that. But men will also need to learn how to ask for help. Like the book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So you get to see the differences between the two. All right, so we'd like to call this a day. And it's been nice. I've enjoyed myself. I'm so happy that we had this show here at Anem at Jericho Onireke Ibadan beside DSTV. And thanks to our contemporary for providing this outfit for Talk with Dr. Michaels. It's so comfortable. You really need to patronize them. All right, I'm Dr. Michaels. I'm a medical doctor with special interest in interventional talking therapy, and I run a program called Self-Actualization and Personal Therapy Program, managed by Quantum Leap Consulting. All right, till the next episode, bye.